Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the holographic symbols floating before her, their angular patterns pulsing with an eerie bioluminescence. For 3 years she had studied the predecessor glyphs, ancient markings found on dead worlds across 12 sectors. Every species in the Galactic Council had tried to decipher them. All had failed. Humans had only joined the Council 8 months ago, their presence barely tolerated by the elder races. The Zorvathi, crystalline beings who had ruled for millennia, dismissed humanity as linguistic primitives. The four-armed Krell considered human translation software laughably inadequate. Even the philosophical Ithmari, normally kind to newcomers, suggested Elena's efforts were charmingly futile. But Elena possessed something the other species lacked: experience with extinct human languages. She had decoded Linear A, reconstructed Proto-Indo-European, and built predictive models for dead tongues using nothing but fragments and context. The aliens had superior technology and vast databases, but they thought in singular patterns. Humans thought in chaos. "Computer overlay predecessor site Gamma 7 with Beta 3, Elena commanded, her coffee growing cold on the cramped desk of her council research pod. The symbols merged and she saw it, a repetition the pattern-matching algorithms had missed because they searched for mathematical precision. But language wasn't always precise. Language evolved, mutated, carried cultural drift. The predecessor glyphs weren't a code. They were a language complete with dialects, slang, and historical evolution. Her hands trembled as she began mapping phonetic values based on symbol frequency and positional grammar. Humans had 5,000 languages on one planet. They understood diversity and communication in ways the largely monolinguistic alien species never could. 3 days later, Elena requested an emergency council session. The amphitheater fell silent as she entered. 500 species watched the young human approach the central platform. High Curator Zelvoth, a Zorvathi whose crystalline body refracted light into rainbow cascades, spoke with barely concealed condescension. "Dr. Vasquez, you claim to have translated the predecessor texts." "I have," Elena replied, projecting confidence she didn't entirely feel. "And what I found will change everything we know about galactic history." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Krell ambassador's forearms crossed skeptically. Ithmari delegates' tentacles twitched with interest. Elena activated her presentation. Predecessor symbols materialized in the air, now accompanied by glowing translations in galactic standard. "The predecessors weren't a single species," she began. "They were a coalition, much like this council. They spanned the galaxy 2 million years ago, at the height of technological achievement. And then they discovered something." She advanced the display. They found proof of the architects, beings who seeded life across the galaxy according to a grand design. The predecessors learned they weren't natural evolution. "None of us are. We're all experiments in a cosmic laboratory." The chamber erupted. Denials, outrage, and demands for evidence collided in a cacophony of alien languages. Zelvoth's crystalline form blazed red with fury. "Impossible. This is human deception." "It's in their own words," Elena shot back, her voice cutting through the chaos. The predecessors discovered ancient machinery on a world they called the First Garden, devices that generated life according to predetermined templates. Every species in this galaxy shares trace genetic markers. We've all noticed this. Your scientists called it convergent evolution, but it's not. It's intentional design. She pulled up the final translation, the one that had kept her awake for 2 nights. "This is their last message. We sought the architects to demand answers. We found only automated systems, still running after eons, still seeding worlds with new experiments. The architects are gone. We are orphans of an abandoned project. We will preserve this knowledge for those who come after, hoping they have the wisdom we lacked, the wisdom to create their own meaning in an indifferent universe." Silence descended, heavy and profound. Elena continued, softer now. "The predecessors didn't die out. They transcended, choosing to leave this galaxy and forge their own destiny beyond the architect's experiment. They left these messages as a warning and an invitation. We can either remain prisoners of our designed nature, or we can choose to evolve beyond it, together." "Lies," Zelvoth hissed, but the word lacked conviction. "Why would I lie?" Elena challenged. "Humans have been in the council for less than a year. We have nothing to gain from destabilizing it, but we have everything to gain from understanding our true origins. A Ithmari elder rose, their voice resonant and ancient. The human speaks a difficult truth. Our oldest philosophies questioned why all galactic life shares common chemical foundations. We dismissed it as universal constants. Perhaps we were wrong. Over the following weeks, verification teams confirmed Elena's translations. Archaeological evidence aligned with her findings. The galaxy reeled from the revelation, but something unexpected emerged from the chaos. Species began cooperating in unprecedented ways. The question, why did the architects create us? United former rivals in shared purpose. Research initiatives exploded. Philosophical movements flourished. The council transformed from a bureaucratic body into something resembling a true alliance. Elena stood on an observation deck, watching ships from 100 worlds depart for the first garden, the site the predecessors had discovered. Humanity had earned its place in the galactic community, not through military might or technological superiority, but through the uniquely human gift of finding patterns in chaos, meaning in fragments, and unity in diversity. High Curator Zelvoth approached, their crystalline form now pulsing with contemplative blue light. Dr. Vasquez, I owe you an apology. We underestimated your species. Elena smiled. You underestimated what it means to be born from thousands of languages, hundreds of cultures, and endless perspectives. We've been solving puzzles like this since we learned to speak. Turns out being a young, chaotic species has advantages. Indeed, Zelvoth agreed. Perhaps the architect's greatest experiment was creating species different enough to challenge each other, but compatible enough to unite. If so, humanity might be their finest work. Or, Elena replied, gazing at the stars, we're all equally magnificent, and it's time we started acting like it. Somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, perhaps the predecessors watched and approved. Or perhaps they had moved beyond such concerns, having learned the greatest secret of all. The meaning of life isn't written in ancient codes or divine designs. It's written in what we choose to do with the mystery.